Hey, this is Dustin the Grinch from Game Tato. Today I got some speculation based on some industry analysis. And I think I know exactly when the PlayStation 5 is going to come out. I think I know the release date. I think I know the specs. I think I know what the controller is going to be, the Dualshock 5. I don't know, I think I got it all basically planned out. And the reason why I know this is because of statistics and what's happened in the past. So I think I have a good gauge on what's going to happen in the future. So let's dive in on why I know everything. The PlayStation 1 came out September 9th, 1995 for 299 simoleons. And it was a huge success going up against the Sega Saturn for 399. They killed it. So on October 26th, they followed that up with the PlayStation 2 for $299, and Sony killed it again. But then they made a little error in 2006 when they released the PlayStation 3 at $599, and it was just a little too much for that time. On November 17th, people said no to PlayStation 3. So then we got finally November 18th, 2013, the PlayStation 4, and it was a huge success, selling just oogles and oogles of consoles, just crushing the Xbox One, 2-1, literally. And it was just a major success, and they followed that up with the Pro. So now let's dive into the specs of the PlayStation 5 and why it is what it is. So the PlayStation 3 had 512 megabytes of RAM, and the PlayStation 4 went up to 8 gigs. That's a 16 times increase in RAM. I don't think it's going to be a 16 times increase again, because 8 gigs times 16 is ridiculous. But I think 24 gigs of RAM GDDR5 is going to be a perfect setup for the PlayStation 5. Now we got the CPU. I think they're going to do an 8-core x86 like they did last time. But I think they're going to set each core to 4.2 gigahertz, which will give them plenty of room. And I think it's going to be that because the PlayStation 4 Pro is already 4.2, or it's already 2.1, I'm sorry. So I think they're just going to double that. And that'll be good enough for really good frame rates, and it'll be awesome. And then you got the 4.2 teraflops. I don't think they're going to do double, because if you double 4.2, you get 8.4. That's barely enough to do 4K native. I think they're going to want some headroom, so I think 12 teraflops is what the PlayStation 5 is going to be. And it's going to be an integrated graphics card, probably made by AMD, because they always make their processors anyway. The disk drive, I think, is going to be a basic Blu-ray drive. Maybe it'll be a 4K, we'll see, but the way the trends are going, I think digital content and 4K streaming is going to keep improving, especially with PlayStation getting into the digital cable market with PlayStation Vue. I think they're just going to continue that streaming. Why hurt yourself if you're already all in streaming? Why are you going to put the disk drive and then start having people buy digital? I think Sony's done with that. So when we talk about storage on the PlayStation 5, I think it's going to have 2 terabytes based on the fact that the PlayStation 4 Pro has 1 terabyte. I think they're going to double that. And the weight of the console, I think it's going to be 8.6 pounds approximately. If the Xbox One is 8.4 pounds, I think it's going to be slightly heavier because there's going to be a lot more chips based on that processing power. Now let's get into the DualShock 5. I don't think they're going to change too much, but they're going to take a little example from Nintendo. I think they're going to make the DualShock 4, well, it's going to become the DualShock 5, but it's going to be splittable. So you're going to have your controller and you'll be able to break it into 2 halves. And the DualShock 5 touchpad will be haptic feedback, so you'll be able to feel things, and I believe the triggers will also be haptic feedback. Hopefully all the buttons are, but I don't know how much money Sony's going to want to spend on this. But this is going to be for VR. So you sell one controller, or maybe they'll have a cheaper model that doesn't break in half, but this one will be the VR model. It's going to have 2 lights on it, so the camera system, or maybe the new detecting, it'll just be infrared, and it'll have a much better tracking system for these new controllers, which is probably what it's going to be. Based on the patterns, the PlayStation 5 is going to come out November 15th, 2019, or November 20th, 2020. But I'm leaning towards November 20th, 2020, because the PlayStation 4 Pro just came out, and I think they're going to want a 7-year life cycle out of the PlayStation 4 ecosystem, just like the PlayStation 3 had. But actually, this console generation will be a little better because of the console upgrade cycle. People that want 4K and that have newer TVs actually have a product that supports it. So we got the DualShock 5, we got release date now, we got pricing. I hope I got into specs all the way. Um, we got all that. It's gonna do 4K native. Of course, it's gonna have HDR. And I think it's gonna be a great console, but it's gonna be released. The PlayStation 5 is gonna be a major hit November 20th, 2020, if they follow the examples that I said. It's got to come out at $399. It's got to have 24 gigs of RAM. It's got to have an 8-core processor with each core set at 4.2 gigahertz with an integrated AMD graphics card, and that whole computing power has got to be 12 teraflops. That way you have some headroom from the assumed 8 teraflops you need to run native 4K. So this will give developers a lot of headroom to really have a lot of particle effects with that extra pixel density. I think the PlayStation 5 is going to be a huge hit, especially if they make it compatible with the old PlayStation VR and then also have a new version that's 4K compatible for the extra visuals that people are going to want in VR. So I'm signing out right now. Dustin the Grinch. Peace out. Game Tato.